Today we are going to talk about the path from law school or to law school from HWS, but before we get started, I'd like to ask everyone to keep their microphones on mute, and I think most of you have already done that, so thank you. This session is being recorded for future viewers, and we'd like to limit the extra noise as much as we can. Any questions you have can be submitted in the chat feature, and we'll answer them later in the session for you. But as we get started, I'm Brandy Ferrara, and I'm the director of the Salisbury Center for Career, Professional, and Experiential Education. And I've worked here for 20 years already, which has gone by so quickly. And over the course of your 4 years at HWS, we'll likely cross paths regardless of your career goals. But I work directly with students interested in pre-law. With me today is Lou Gard. And I've worked here long enough that I did work with Lou as a student. He is now the Vice President and General Counsel for Hobart and William Smith, and he's also a grad from here. So in addition, though, he teaches general law classes at Hobart and William Smith and teaches higher education at law at Cornell. So to kick things off, Lou, could you tell us a little bit about your journey at HWS?
Sure, Brandy. Be happy to, and welcome everybody who's on the call. This is exciting. It's the first time I've ever done a Zoom admission session. I remember being a tour guide as a student here and doing info sessions and tours, but had never done anything online like this. So it's pretty exciting, just the reach that we can have from doing this. So I hope you find this all helpful, and thank you to Brandy for your kind introduction. And I just want to add to that if any of you have questions or follow up after this session and you want to talk to me individually, I'm more than happy to do that. So I'll put that out there for you. But yeah, my path to Hobart and William Smith was kind of interesting. I never thought that I would go here. I actually grew up in Geneva, believe it or not. And I always told my mom, there's no way in heck I'm ever gonna go to Hobart and William Smith. You know, it's right in our backyard, not gonna do it. Well, I looked at a lot of schools, and she finally convinced me to take a tour and to actually come on campus, and I did. And as soon as I did that, I really fell in love with the place, and I thought it was just the right fit for me. So, you know, there was no more magic to it at that point in time other than that. But looking back on it, I think I couldn't have made a better decision. I knew loosely that I wanted to go to law school, probably, maybe someday. It was kind of on my short list of options, and I just think that the education that I received here set me up perfectly for that, and kind of gave me the background to pursue the career path that I'm now on. So I ended up matriculating here, majored in public policy and history, and then after college, actually worked for 2 years for the former president, one of our former presidents, Mark Guerin, and then did that for 2 years. Then went to law school. I went to Cornell, and then after that, practiced law in Philadelphia for a few years, and then also in Rochester. And I was in Rochester for about 6 months, and the former president called me and he said, what would you think about coming back to Hobart and William Smith? And it didn't take me long to make up my mind that would be an interesting, twist in my career path. So that's kind of how I found myself here. And what I do here is, as Brandy alluded to, is I'm the chief kind of legal officer for the colleges, the primary legal representative. So I handle all of our legal matters, and then I'm also assistant secretary to the board of trustees, which is it's actually we call it the assistant secretary, but most organizations would just call it a secretary. So I support the board's governance operations and that sort of thing. And I teach business law here at Hobart and William Smith, and then a seminar on the law of higher education down at Cornell. So I've been staying busy.
Great. So as Lou mentioned, he was public policy and history major, But I think for students that are interested in pre-law, our biggest piece of advice to you is to major in what you like, major in what you are passionate about. And so part of our pre-law program is really about advising and helping you find your passion, because with law school, one thing you'll find is GPA is certainly important. And if you like what you're studying, you're going to do better in that. And so that's one thing that we really work with students on in the Career Center even, is helping you identify what your interests, your values, your skills are, and how those relate to possible majors in addition to the career fields. We meet with students as first years. So coming in, Professor Brophy and I do a pre-law session, and he's the faculty advisor. And in that session, we go through what the timeline looks like for the next 4 years, loosely speaking, of some things that we want you to consider, get involved in, and some skill development that will help you be competitive for law school down the road. Some of those things include particular courses that Professor Brophy would advise you on taking. And again, not saying that you have to major in history or political science, but there may be some courses to take from those disciplines. Our office in Career Services, we're going to support you in getting experience. And that doesn't mean that you have to intern in a law firm, but if you're interested, there certainly are opportunities through our alums in law firms, with judges, and court systems. So we work with students even as first years to do some of that exploration, including during your winter break, when you may go and do a job shadow, where we match you with an alum near your home. And so you tell us where you're going to be, and we'll connect you with somebody, and you may have a half a day, a whole day experience. And our goal is that those lead to internship opportunities. And that's been the case with one alum in particular who is an attorney. He takes 2 shadows during the winter break, and it's really like an interview for him to get to know the students, and then typically those turn into summer internships. We have internships here in the Finger Lakes, certainly, but a common question is, do I have to do an internship in the Finger Lakes? What if I'm from Los Angeles or New York City or Boise, Idaho? We work with students getting opportunities wherever it makes sense for you to be. Lou, one new program that we've been really excited to talk about this year in the Career Center is the 3+3 with Cornell. And so I'm wondering if you can talk about how that works and how students might get engaged with that and start exploring it.
Yeah, sure. So it's an exciting project that we started about a year ago, and it's finally complete, and we've begun rolling it out. It's a unique partnership between us and the law school at Cornell that basically allows students to do 3 years at Hobart and William Smith, and then 3 years at the law school, and then you leave with your bachelor's from HWS and your law degree from Cornell. So it condenses your timeline, which is pretty significant, because we all know that some people may be more kind of focused and intent on one option than others, and that accelerated timeline is good for them. And some people may be more cost conscious, so that accelerated timeline is good for them. I think it provides a pretty good option for a lot of people. Basically, it is essentially a preferential admission program. There's no guarantee that you're going to get in, unfortunately, but there is there's a close relationship between the schools, a lot of communication, and I think just the ability to get those 2 degrees done in that time period is pretty unique. We're the only school currently that has the 3+3 with Cornell. And so we're excited about that. I mean, I would say it's not for everybody. Having done 4 years of undergrad myself and then 3 years in law school, I think I had a lot of growing up to do. I really enjoyed my senior year of college. I wouldn't want to give that away for anything. So, I don't think that this is the perfect program for everybody, but and you can certainly still apply to Cornell or obviously any other better law school after doing 4 years here if you want to. But it's a great option for the right people. And I think what it shows is just that we've got a close relationship with that institution, that they want students from Hobart and William Smith. They know that our students are prepared, that they're serious, that they've got the intellectual breadth and dexterity to succeed as lawyers in a whole variety of career paths, whether it's traditional law firm career paths or something crazy like being an in-house counsel to a small college, or a solo practitioner, or venture capital, or real estate finance, whatever you're going to take your law degree and go do. Having the background from Hobart and William Smith, I think will be enormously helpful. So that's my thought.
Thank you. So as students are ready to apply for law school or exploring that whole application process, that's where I really come in and work with students through the logistics. The nice thing with law school is there is a common app type format for that. And so I'll walk you through how to create your profile, getting your letters of recommendation. I'll help you with how you should be prepping for the LSAT, the law school exam. Another nice thing is that we actually offer it here on campus during each of the testing times except January. And so you have that opportunity to take it in the fall here. So it is offered in the September date right on campus. You don't have to worry about traveling. We also connect you with alums. So I think that's the other really nice feature of how we work with students at Hobart and William Smith is our alum network. It's amazing to me how many alums want to help other students. They want to pay it forward. And so we have a database of over 5,000 alums and parents that have all raised their hand to say, I'm here to support students. What questions do you have? Whether it's asking about the law school that they went to, getting advice on perhaps the programs or the type of law that they're practicing. They may be ones that would host you for a shadow. In addition, we support students in writing your essay, your personal statement. And so that's something that Professor Brophy will work with you individually on. We have great resources through the Center for Teaching and Learning. There's some writing specialists that will also help coach you with that if you would like. And then the alums, we have people like Lou who are working teaching at law schools, or we have others who are working at law schools, and certainly wonderful resources. They come back to campus. So we just had a speaker, a recent grad, who took a couple of years to be a paralegal. She wanted to make sure this was the profession she wanted to be in. She did that, and now knows law school is the path for her. So she is actually going into law school this fall, but came to campus to talk about her experience of how she spent these 2 years. And she's actually looking to hire an HWS senior to fill her position. So I think there's really neat opportunities and connections for you along the way throughout your 4 years here. But in addition to that, some students choose, like this particular person, waited a couple of years. We provide lifetime services. And so even if you do wait a couple of years to go to law school, we're still here for you. We're still here as a resource. We're going to help you through that application process. We will help you with your essay, your personal statement, and reading those, giving you feedback on that, no matter when you decide to go to law school. Lou, is there anything you want to add before we open it up for questions?
Yeah, I mean, just briefly hit on some of the stuff that you mentioned. I think our alum network is fantastic. I actually, as an undergrad, I did an internship with an attorney in Rochester who is an alum who sent one of his kids here, and he, was very influential in my law school choice. He went to the same law school, so kind of, served as a reference for me, and just kind of, that was my springboard, I think, to where I am now. But I can't say enough about how supportive our alum network is. Even when I got out of law school, I relied more on Hobart alums to try to get my first law firm job than I did on Cornell Law School alums, because I think that they were just more excited to help another HWS alum. I mean, so can't say enough about our alum network. Also, you know, the value of internships. I just mentioned that internship I did. I think that's important. But then also just studying what you enjoy when you're a student, I think is so important, because there's no set curriculum that's going to make you the next Justice John Roberts. You know what I mean? It's just, you just have to like what you're learning about. You got to get high grades. Like, that's sort of all there is to it. So the theory is, if you enjoy what you're studying or what you're learning about, then you're going to do better. And I think we have just so many opportunities to do that here, and so many terrific faculty that will really inspire you, get you excited, and prepare you well in that regard. So that's kind of what I would add to that. But I'd love to hear some questions if people have them.
All right, so we'll open it up for questions at this point, and if you just want to type them in the chat section, Lou and I are happy to answer anything that that you've got. This is good practice for law school, right, Lou?
Yeah, you guys are way too quiet. I'm gonna pick one of you and call on you in a minute.
All right, here we go. All right, what majors have the highest acceptance rate into graduate schools? We actually were talking about this. Professor Brophy was doing a session, and it's not, you know, political science, I think, is a common one that people think they have to major in, but science has been another big area, philosophy. There's no one major that we would encourage you over another one. I think, to Lou's point, it's really what you're passionate about is what's going to get you into law school.
Yeah, just to add on that, while people are typing more questions,
Yeah.
you know, I just wrote a letter of recommendation for a student applying to law school, and he was a philosophy and physics double major, which I just think is so unique and interesting, and kind of just speaks to his intellectual bandwidth. And you know, so I kind of talked about that in the letter, but I think this is the type of place where you could really do that and thrive. But.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Lou, can you talk maybe to their question around majors, to some of the courses that are taught here that students interested in law tend to take?
Are there courses, you said?
Yeah, like the law that you've taught and some others.
Yeah, I often find, so business law, it's in the economics, it's economics 203 or something like that. So that's where it's housed academically. But I often find there's a handful of students that take that class that say they want to go to law school. I took that as an undergrad, actually. You know, I think it's also, you kind of want to have some entry-level political science stuff, because that gives you a foundation, like maybe at least one intro course, because that'll give you really a foundation of kind of the American system of government, which is, you know, fundamental to how laws are structured. You know, the Constitution, the evolution of our legal system, all that sort of stuff. There are some upper level poli-sci courses, civil rights in particular, that's very heavy on Supreme Court jurisprudence. So, you know, that might be an interesting one. There are courses in philosophy that are very relevant, but I also think things like, you know, definitely intro economics, because you want some kind of fundamental understanding of the economic system. What else? I think stuff like statistics helps. I mean, you just don't know, you don't kind of know where your legal career is going to take you, but you definitely need some statistics in there, research methods, things that are causing you to really exercise kind of like the objective thinking part of your brain. So that would be my thoughts on course selection.
All right, we've got another question around clubs and organizations related to law. And the answer is yes, absolutely. I think many of our students interested in law join the debate team. You develop a lot of great skills. We have wonderful coaches, world recognized team that really help prepare you for law school. We also have clubs related to politics. So if there are students interested in the policy or politics side, there's opportunities there to get engaged. Student government is another one that our pre-law students tend to be drawn towards. Let's see. There was a question around, I'm going to go back up here, tuition at Cornell, who do this program. And that is your senior year technically at Hobart and William Smith is your first year at law school. And so it's Cornell's tuition, not Hobart and William Smith. But they do give you, they said that financial aid follows from their law school. So they would provide that. And I apologize for my dog barking in the background right now.
Awesome. It's the Zoom experience.
Yes, exactly. That's the hard part. It's the mail. All right, and then we have some admissions questions on here. And so we can go back to those because I'm hoping someone from admissions will join in and talk about some of the additional plans, but we are doing some programs and opportunities there. Lou, do you want to talk about the timeline for, because they're asking if students plan this as a freshman and take additional credits to graduate from HWS in 3 years. Do they have to do summer school? How does the timing work for the 3+3 program?
Well, it's really up to your major. As I understand it, your 4th year actually counts. So your first year of law school actually counts as your 4th year here. So you're not really jamming in any more classes into your first 3 years here than you would be, except to say that you want to meet as many of your major and minor requirements as you can. So you're not like, you don't have to double down on your coursework because that first year of law school counts as your 4th year here. Does that make sense? You just have to make sure you hit your major and minor required courses.
So to clarify, they're asking a student will graduate from HWS in year 3. That's actually, no, they don't. They graduate at the end of year 4 because their first year of law school is their 4th year at Hobart and William Smith. The credits all combined together.
Correct.
Students seeking careers in environmental law, that's actually one of the biggest areas of interest is environment. And so environmental studies is a popular major or minor on our campus. And students get into environmental law. They're working for the EPA. Under the Obama administration, the head of the EPA is actually a Hobart alum who was appointed to that position for the New England division. And so it's definitely something that I think environment in the forefront of a lot of students' minds. So there's plenty of opportunity there. Again, for shadowing opportunities to talk with alums in those fields. And we certainly, on our website, we've got some profiles of people, but I would be happy to follow up with you as well if you want to see what alums in any particular area are doing. The path for a student interested in corporate law. So this goes back, I think, we don't tell students you have to intern at a law field, in a law firm, right? Like law firms or law schools are going to teach you law. It can be helpful to experience a corporate law firm, and that's where I think the shadowing and internships can be helpful. But if you want to work in a particular field, so if you want to be an environmental lawyer, you want to be a corporate lawyer, then getting some industry experience can also be really helpful to have that background knowledge. That's going to just make you that much stronger when you're in the field because you've been more sort of boots on the ground in those industries. And so that's where we really work with a lot of students in their class time here, their years here, to get those industry experiences to help you decide. But Lou, you can talk about how, you know, some of your peers, maybe you decide what kind of law you want to practice sort of going into it.
Yeah, I mean, if you come in knowing that you want to be a mergers and acquisitions lawyer, then I'd say take your undergrad career and devote it to understanding economics and accounting and as much sort of business kind of fundamentals that you possibly can. But that being said, you also want to make sure you're getting a pretty good GPA so that you can get into a good school and that sort of thing. So, but I mean, you really don't have to decide, even the curriculum within a law school is very broad for the most part, right? And it's only in like your third year of law school, maybe halfway through your second, that you're picking classes that are interesting to you, you know, that you want to take, because there's kind of a mandatory set of classes that you have to take in order to graduate. So everybody takes those, gets them out of the way. And then you can go on from there. And then it's really, you know, based on the firm that you join, kind of their practice area needs sometimes dictate what you end up doing more or less of, or the mentorship that you receive or don't receive from partners that you're working with. So, you know, I think if you're interested specifically in corporate law, gain the fundamentals of economics and accounting while you're an undergrad, but, you know, maintain an open mind, I think, because 7 years later, you could change and the economy can change, and where you get your first job can be somewhat unpredictable. So, but that would be my general advice.
Great. We also have a few questions related to those first 3 years, what they look like in terms of preparing if you want to do the 3+3 program. And so as far as classes, you do have to have your major completed in the first 3 years. You don't have to have your minor completed. So your 3 years here, many of our study abroad, and that was a question, was around, can I do study abroad if I want to do 3+3? Yes, you can. You just have to really work with your advisor to make sure that the study abroad program that you're doing is helping to fulfill your major requirements, which most of ours do. And in the chat section, there is a link to the virtual tour. Several of you asked about that, so that is in here. And there are some more virtual sessions being planned, and we certainly hope you are going to want to join us for those. So the link is in the chat section here for that as well. And let's see, I think we've answered all of the questions. Lou and I are happy to be a resource if you want to follow up with us individually. Our emails are right on the website. But Lou Gard, I'm Brandy Ferrara, and we just want to thank you all for joining us today and being here. And so I've got one last question that we'll answer in closing before we have to end this session. And that is, can you pursue a minor at HWS that is not available at Cornell? So you absolutely can pursue a minor. If you want to do the 3+3 program, it may be hard to get all of those requirements in the 3 years. And with careful planning, you know, it certainly might be possible. But with Cornell, your first year there is what fulfills your minor. So it will end up being a law-oriented minor that we provide for you based on successful completion of your first year. All right. All right, Lou, any closing thoughts for this crew?
Not really, other than to say it's an exciting time in your life, and I think that you should relish that, and you cannot go wrong by choosing this institution. I would say it changed my life in immeasurable ways. It's made me a happier person, a smarter person, and I can't say enough about the people here and the education I received.
Great, thank you. And thank you to all of you for being here today. Thank you, Lou, for your time. And like I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to follow up. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.